Friends, we are back with another episode of us trying to get woke. Trying to open this third eye, boy. The Tao Te Ching. Back at it again. This time we're on chapter 2. So we're not gonna waste any time, man. We're gonna jump right in. Last time we took a look at chapter 1 of the mystery of the Tao, talking about like what the Tao is, and basically you can't define the Tao to know what it is. So shut your damn mouth. And apologies if you guys hear a bird chirping in the background. That's the homie over here. I got a bird. I'll have to move the camera one of these times. Bro, he's hyped too. He's ready to. This bird is ready to listen to some of the Tao. I'm trying to get it to talk and say like ratchet stuff, but that'd be a story for another day. So we learned that you can't define the Tao. Don't even think you know what the Tao is, stupid idiot. So let's look at chapter 2 and see what that's got going for us, right? So we'll look at the online translations first, look in our book, then we'll do some interpretation. So, chapter 2. When everyone in the world sees beauty, then ugly exists. When everyone sees good, then bad exists. Therefore, what is and what is not create each other. Difficult and easy complement each other. Tall and short shape each other. High and low rest on each other. Voice and tone blend with each other. First and last follow each other. So the sage acts by doing nothing, teaches without speaking, attends all things without making claim on them, works for them without making them dependent, demands no honor for his deed, because he demands no honor, he will never be dishonored. Okay, so I really like this one. It talks a lot about life being contradictions, which is something like I'm a huge firm believer in, that life. Bird, I'm trying to talk philosophy over here, man. This guy's popping off. But I'm a firm believer that a great deal of life is just crazy contradictions, right? We can't really know one thing without knowing the other. And I think that this is exactly what this chapter is, right? Where it's showcasing like we can't know good if we don't know bad. Short is only short because we have something tall to compare it to. And it goes into all of these, oh my God. It goes into like all these comparisons, right? About the only reason we're able to make certain judgments is because we have something to compare those judgments to. Therefore, they're the same, like they're basically two sides of the same coin, and it's all interconnected. But what I want to take a look at, pretty bird. What I want to take a look at, man, is the last line though, like the last bit of prose, third paragraph. I don't know what to call it, man. I'm still working on getting my poetry stuff together. But it states that the sage acts by doing nothing, teaches without speaking. So I think that doing nothing gets misinterpreted when it comes to like the way and like Tao, Buddhist philosophy and like that kind of stuff. Because I know for me in the past too, I used to think that like, man, like doing nothing. So like, is it advocate for basically everybody to just like sit on a rock, like in a, like the classic meditation pose and just like do nothing with their life? And I had to learn like that. That's not what they mean in nothingness. You can act with act with a sense of nothingness, if that makes any sense. And I sound like I'm in the forest out here, bro. You gotta just take this as a nature experience, right? We're bonding with nature right now. So what I mean by that though, when it comes to like acting while simultaneously doing nothing, it means that you're able to like go about your day and perform the duties that you need to with a sense of calmness and oneness with the activity. Like there's no ulterior motives, there's no distractions. You're able to act in silence, or you're able to act with such a sense of oneness with the activity that there's the void is present. That there's a sense of nothingness. Like now I'm sounding like I'm out of the Tao. We're supposed to be breaking this down, but I get what it means, right? It's saying that a good teacher is able to deliver lessons, or to to affect a group and motivate a group to learn without having to sit down and lecture them. You know, it's in their being. It's the way that they carry themselves, the way that they act themselves. Yes, Bird. The way that they act themselves, the way that they live their life is it becomes so evident to everybody else that they are like in accordance with the way that like that method of teaching does far more than them sitting down in a lecture and using 1,000 words. You know, their being allows them to teach without ever speaking. So when it comes to attending all things without making claim on them, so you're able to take care of all the duties and the things that you need to do without saying like, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. You're not doing things to own them or gathering materials just to accumulate. You do it because it needs to be done, and you do it for the sake of doing it, you know, not out of greed or a sense of like weird capitalist money gathering and like that kind of stuff, you know. And the next line goes, works for them without making them dependent. So they're able to assist others and serve others without facilitating a sense of dependency, or not making that the other person weaker for having their support. Because what can happen sometimes, right, is that when you act in service to another, or like you give of yourself to someone else, sometimes it gets to the point where we like overdo this and we actually hurt that other person by handicapping them and the not allowing them the experience of doing for themselves, because eventually there will come a time where you won't or can't do this for them, and if they're unable to act themselves, then effectively you've hurt that person. You know, like this can be seen in things like spoiled children is a classic example, right, where they've had a parent that's provided them with everything they've ever wanted, and in one sense that's great, right, in one sense it's a really good thing, but alternatively, man, this is the reality that when you give somebody everything and make it so that they never have to work, they never have to exert themselves, they never have to learn, life is going to spit them up and chew them out. You know, like whenever, if they come upon a roadblock, or if they reach an experience and they don't have that person that's taking care of them present, or something happens to that person, like it inevitably will, they're going to be left without anything to fall back on, and they're going to be lost. You know, they're going to be extremely hurt. So what the Tao seems to be advocating for is like supporting and being helpful to others, but not making yourself or anybody else dependent on you, or you becoming dependent on them, is how I'm interpreting that. It says individual demands no honor for his deed, and because he demands no honor, he will never be dishonored. So again, going back to the idea of acting for its own sake, or completing a task or a project for its own sake, not doing it because you think it'll lead to like great riches, or that or you're trying to seek honor or some sort of like high level of fame from it, but you're doing it because this is the right thing to do, because this thing needs to be finished, and you're not having any expectations out of it. And when people see someone like this that acts and they complete things simply because of the fact that it needs completed, and they have no expectations from it, I think this does have an effect on people. And if you're not demanding titles or demanding people treat you a certain way, then there'll never come a point where you're ashamed or embarrassed or left dishonored because you were never seeking that in the first place. I think it's a meditation on humbleness almost, you know, where when we have a humble attitude, or we're like humble in mind and body, we can't be harmed by like the names or the just the insults and things like that of other people. It's so much easier to have your pride wounded and your ego hurt when you have such a huge, humongous sort of how do I want to put it, an ego about yourself. Not just ego, man, but like an arrogance or like an expectation that this is how people should treat me. When that's the way that you carry yourself, you're ripe for dishonor. You know, like the Tao goes into the contradictions and the ebb and flow of all things. You know, because with honor comes the possibility of dishonor. It all loops back around into the infinite circle, right? So I think that's what it's getting at, man. So this is a cool chapter. This is really neat. Let's take a look at the book. Let's see what the book has to say really quick. So chapter 2, not doing. If we understand what makes beauty beautiful, then we can recognize ugliness. If we understand what makes goodness good, then we can recognize bad. Going back to the contradictions we talked about, right? Void and amplitude have the same origin. So nothingness and vibration, so nothingness and energy have the same origin. Difficulty and ease beget each other. Long and short define each other. High and low support each other. Music and voice harmonize with each other. Before and after follow each other. This is the constant. So in everything, there's a beginning and end. From this, it follows that the wise man acts through not doing, teaches without words, and interacts with creation without initiating. So they don't force themselves on anything is what I'm getting. Not necessarily that the person isn't able to show initiative, but they're not forcing themselves into any particular situation is what I'm understanding this as, right? That a person following the way goes about their life and does what they have to do, but they allow things to be what they are. And if something isn't working, then they don't try to force it and bend it to their will. They just accept it, He makes, but does not own. Acts, but does not rely on the result. Achieves, but does not linger to be recognized. And not seeking recognition, his credit becomes enduring. So it goes back to just that weird intangible philosophies of the universe, right? Where like the more you seek something, the farther away it gets. I think that's exactly what the Tao is mentioning, right? Where like the more we seek fame and recognition from others, the farther away that ideal gets from us, because even if we receive some sort of praise, it's never going to be enough because we're always going to want more and more and more. But by that same token, if we just learn to do and accept things for the way they are with no expectations, then we'll always be surprised and happy in the sense that like we came into this with no expectations and look what we got, good things can come to you that way. You're not pushing your expectations out into the universe, and you're allowing things to be and fall into place how they should. And this seems to be in accordance with the Tao. Oh man. So I like this, man. I like that chapter. How are you guys feeling? How you feeling? Pretty good about that interpretation? That's how I'm seeing it, right? Well, duh, of course it's how I'm seeing it, but I'm sitting with this, like I think that this is something that I am in pretty strong agreement with. I think that life really is a series of contradictions, man, and it all kind of wraps around into this one big old like infinity loop kind of thing. And to know one thing, you have to be acquainted with the other, or else you have nothing to even process or compare it to. So appreciate you guys sitting here and chilling with me, man. That was chapter 2 of the Tao. We're slowly getting our African hat on. We're slowly getting more woke, man. I hope you guys had fun chilling out here with me. I'll talk to you guys in chapter 3, man. Be good out here.